Welcome to the life of Tash Mia. I'm Tash. Today I've got my kinky BFF Krisi here with me, and we're just going to have a little bit of a girls chat and talk all thing what's been happening lately, life, and what's happening in our little kinky world. Hey, Krisi.
Hey, Tash.
So I thought I'd start with talking about our little sound healing last week. So it was the full moon, and it was also the solar eclipse?
Lunar eclipse.
Yes. Which is when the
moon
blocks.
Yes, so the Earth blocks the Earth shadows the moon.
The Earth shadows the moon.
But we can't see it.
Yeah.
Because we were in Australia.
But it was such a big moon, because when you picked me up, you're like, look at the fucking moon. I was like, shit. And so we went to the sound healing thing. And I have been doing a bit with sound stuff in the last couple of months. I've been doing these sound frequencies or vibrational things, which kind of sound like, you can put it over. There's an option to either just have it by itself, or you can play it with nature sounds, or you can just put it in the background of like Spotify, because it can run in the background as a background app. So I just have it like that, and then I listen to like a podcast or something over it, or I just like get myself ready and have it on in the background. But they kind of like set your mood stuff, or like, you know, if you're feeling anxious, or if you're feeling really hormonal, or if you want to be creative, or if you want to focus. And I really feel that it helped me in my last cycle, because I did the PMS one and I didn't have any like bitch fights with my husband. So I don't know if it's I don't know if it's like just coincidence, but I feel it worked. So I was really keen to go to the sound healing thing with you, because I'd never really done a proper one where they had the bowls and the ding ding,
yes,
the rain
and
sticks.
The rain sticks, which was my favorite.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then so we all arrived in this room. And how many people do you think were there?
I counted approximately 60. So it was a good group.
It's a lot of people. I was really surprised, because like I know me and you are a bit woo-woo with the moon. That's what my husband says, like you're woo-woo with the moon.
I'm woo-woo with everything, I'm clear.
I'm woo-woo just in general. And so I was really happy to see there was a lot of other woo-woo people out there with us for the full moon.
Yeah, and it was a very important moon as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this whole year, like what's been happening, like it's an 8-year and everything. Like it's an important, I think, lunar, eclipsey, whatever's happening in the universe kind of year. But they sat us down and we did that really nice meditation to start with. That was so relaxing, where she like made us switch off our whole body. Then the guy next to you started snoring. And they told us at the beginning that if get friendly with your neighbours, because you might have to give them a nudge if they're snoring. And then all I was thinking, like, is she going to nudge him? Is she going to nudge him?
I just started laughing and I was like, am I supposed to do something here?
You're meant to nudge him.
I know.
Did you nudge him?
No, I didn't. I just laughed, and then someone else must have nudged him because he stopped snoring.
But I think he started again later, and then they must have done it. And then they came around, and then they started doing the sound stuff, and they did that rain stick. You know, the one where they're walking next to us. I was just like, this is one of the most relaxing things I've ever heard in my life.
It really just sounds exactly like rain on a roof.
And just like the trickling of it next to your ear when they were walking around with it. But it was funny because afterwards you explained what you felt. Like, say what you felt.
Okay, so for me, I mean, you go through different emotions, because I still got a surge of rushing thoughts. And then it's really hard not to go, okay, I need to control this, I need to clear. So I had to just accept the rushing thoughts and just let them come and let them go. And then I got this real clear, I need to be more open and be more in my soft, in my gentle, and not my hard.
In your feminine.
Exactly. But it came up as soft, and that at the moment I'm really sitting in my hard. And I was like, that's like interesting. Then I got a rush again of like that kind of triggered another rush of thoughts of every time sort of in the last 12 months or even more where I feel like I've been hard. And so it was like rushing thoughts of all of that. And then it came back clear again about the soft. And it was so funny that when I was in my soft, I was able to relax.
And I said it was really funny what you described, because what you described is what I felt during my very first psilocybin journey. And I journaled about it, and I was like, that's what came up for me. It was about sitting in, one of the things I wrote was, I like it when I'm soft. And I was like,
Crazy.
you achieved my psilocybin journey in your sound healing. But it's true, like sitting in your softness. And I always liken it to, I want to be more in my feminine. And because I was really sitting in my masculine for a long time, and I definitely, like, more recently, as I said, like, I definitely dom from my feminine now. But even outside of that, a lot of the time I was like going back into my masculine. And I think like it's easy to slip as women when you're so busy. You're like me, we're very like goal orientated. We're always chasing something. We're always working towards something. And I think sometimes that you just slip back into being in your masculine just to like kind of get shit done. Sometimes.
I feel like it's my defense mechanism. Like anytime, yeah, like you said, get shit done, or anytime I need to do something quickly, anytime something's not going right, it's like I directly go back into masculine, more of a hard Krisi. So I kind of just really want to embrace the soft, because soft is where I'm loved. Soft is where I'm safe. And isn't that funny? Because I feel like hard is my defense mechanism to make me feel safe. But when I'm soft is when I'm actually feeling safe.
That's so true, because I'm like that. I'm much happier. I'm much calmer when I'm soft. But you do revert into this masculine as a way to, like, you know, especially when things are going chaotic in my life, or I'm like rushing around going from thing to thing. I revert the same. I'm like, okay, I've got to like get my head on straight, or like I've got to like get my armor on or something. And we just revert automatically to the masculine.
Yeah, it's like man up, right?
Yeah.
Which is such an annoying saying, because it was so like told to us so many times that we refer that to manning up.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, no, that's not right.
I know, because we don't agree with that. And
No.
so you're like, why am I reverting to it?
Exactly.
But yeah, it's very like, I found the sound healing very powerful, like more powerful than I expected.
I agree. And I found like the next sort of week a bit of a roller coaster. Oh. It was almost like a clearing, and a lot of things had come up, and then it was like, I need to know more about that, and I need to know why. And so a lot of self-examination was going on, and a lot of relationship examination, a lot of why am I feeling like this? You know, why am I always in my hard? Like, how do I let my softness come through?
See, that's why you need to do a psilocybin journey next, because that's where you'll get the rest. But yeah, I felt really, it was interesting, because I think I said to you, because I've only just done my last psilocybin journey, what was it, like 2-3 weeks before the sound healing? And I'm like, I kind of felt I got such a massive transformation, and so much was said to me then that I didn't really feel like I was going to get as much of not a meaningful experience, but I don't think it was going to go as deep for me, because I had literally just done a huge amount of work from that journey recently. But what I did feel is an immense relaxation. But I also did have my mind was running at times, and then I was just doing what you did. I was just like, I'm just letting it come and go and trying not to hold on to anything. And it made me feel like sometimes I think when I'm doing some of my wellness things during my everyday life, like it becomes part of your schedule and your habit. And I'm like, sometimes I think you might not be as present. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a tick box. And I felt like, because we went to like a proper sound healing thing with like, how long were we there? 90 minutes? Something?
Yes, 90 minutes.
Dedicated to this is what we're doing. There's nothing else in this room. It's not like you're at home where you got your phone to look at next or to make dinner or whatever it is. It made me sleep. I felt like I just was able to slip even deeper into that meditative relaxation state. And I was like, I need to do this more. Like we both said that afterwards.
As soon as I walked out, it was like, I'm not making enough time to do this because life gets crazy and you're all about work. And it's actually so healing and so amazing to, it's self-care.
Yeah.
And taking yourself away from your normal living environment to do something like that.
And as we said, like we both felt those activities make you feel that softness. I think they put you more into the energy you want to be in. And like I know me and you are two people who are very conscious of energies and like what our energy is telling us, other people's energy. And I think if you really want to be in an energy that you desire to be in, you've got to make time for that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, I think you can just rush through everything and not really get to where you want to be. But it's funny because I remember after when we were driving in the car, we were talking about like energies and stuff. And we are talking about, I think I said to you about like, I had a client. It was funny. I had 2 clients last week and one was really good at energy swapping with me. And the other one, I could feel such a block. And then even at the end of the session, they're like, I have this wall up. I'm finding it really hard to get down. And I said to you, like, energy swapping is a practice. Being able to swap your energy with someone, being able to read someone's energy, being able to let your guard down for like your energy to connect to someone, I'm like, it really is a practice. And I think those types of experiences, whether it's in a kink session with a professional, whether it's sound healing, it's letting your energy come out. It's getting you to practice it. And I think that's what's so important. And so many people don't know how to do it.
No, we neglect our practice.
Yeah.
And that with the wording practice, they use that wording for the sound healing as well. And that was their first part of the introduction. They were saying, don't worry if you don't feel this. Don't worry if it doesn't move you tonight. It is a practice. And what a practice means is that, you need to get better at it. You need to keep coming. You'll experience different things all the time. Definitely with kink as well and BDSM, it is a practice. So, energy swapping is the biggest part of it, and practicing that, you read him because you were like, he's got a wall up. So, and the fact that he was able to say to you, I've got my wall up at the end meant he knew that you read him, which is speaks a lot for your energy exchange, because even though he's blocking, he could still see that you knew he was blocking.
Yeah, and I've always said, well, particularly in the most recent years, like at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's an energy swap. And that's what really determines like a good session to a fucking good session, to sometimes a really bad session, is where the energy's at. Like and I think this is what, people see the toys, they see the tricks, they see the ties, they see the spanks. And I'm like, that's all just an expression. Like, that's just that's my tool belt. I don't really have to do very much to have a mind-blowing session. I think I said the one that we had that beautiful energy exchange with was a 3-hour session. It's not a short session. And he wasn't into anything painful. So you can cut out all those activities you can think of. It was a very a slow but very connected, and it seemed to even though slow paced, but the 3 hours flew by because we were just bouncing off each other's energy. It was such a fulfilling session. And I think that's what people don't sometimes understand with like BDSM or kink, is that the best part is not the tools. The best part is when that energy's there. It's like in a drug, isn't it? I think that's why people get addicted to it. It's the energy of it. It's not the spanking.
I would say it's more addictive than a drug.
Yeah.
And just as big a come downs.
Yeah, massive come down sometimes. Kink tourists.
Interesting subject.
Kink tourists. It's funny because I've come across, I was just thinking about this when I was thinking about like social circles in this year and mine getting smaller and the shifts that I've really felt. I was thinking about those people that come into the kink scene and then float out of it. And it's really funny because I was thinking about people that generally they've met me through whatever means in the world, and they've been living like a typically vanilla life. And then they're fascinated by the kink world, or they've always wanted to try. And then they come and dabble along with me or me and my crew or something that I've been involved with for a while. And then sometimes they kind of re-vanilla themselves up. And it's so funny because you have these conversations with these people at the time, and they're like, this is like, they really connect with it and they really love the lifestyle or something. And generally they're single at the time. And then what I find is what happens is they then get a new partner and then they go back to vanilla land. And so I call them kink tourists.
Yes.
But it's really interesting because then I start thinking about open tourists that you don't really get open tourists. And what I mean is, if someone ever dabbles in an open relationship, generally, I know there's exceptions to the rules, they never normally go back.
It's much harder to go back.
Yeah. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Like, people can dip their toes into kink sometimes and they'll go back to their vanilla life because maybe they haven't been able to partner in that way, but they'll never do it when it comes to open.
I think there's still a lot more stigma and shame about, like, inner shame about your kink preferences. So, especially BDSM. So I think that's why people might give themselves, I'm going to go and do everything I want to do over a 2-year period and then I'm going to go back vanilla. But they're just denying themselves, let's face it.
And I think also it's because then, like, they've been single, they've been playing around, they're happy to confide in maybe people in that kink scene. But then when they go back to maybe the dating world, they're not so open to share that part with them. And so they kind of think, oh, well, no, I have to put it back in the kinky closet or something to be able to have a partner, to be able to date, to be able to do whatever they think they want to be able to do.
I think open is really trending.
Yeah.
Ethical, non-monogamy, all of these words now are embraced, especially younger generation. So I feel that's so trendy. And a lot of people want to try that. So I feel that's where people stay. But also when you have that, it is, my experience in relationships. So I had 2 ongoing relationships over a 2-year period where I was seeing 2 different guys on the regular. They both knew about each other. And we had a schedule, like, it's not like we were all socializing at the same time, but I had 2 ongoing serious relationships with these guys. And that was in my so-called single period. So even though I considered myself to be open and committed to seeing these guys, I was also open to seeing other people. So that's kind of where I'm like, but I wasn't really committed to either of them because I was still very open and flowing with whatever came into my life and embracing that. So it is hard. I kind of never thought I would have a one-on-one committed relationship again. I knew I wouldn't have a monogamous one. So to your point,
Yeah.
it is one of those things that's like,
Can't go back.
now I know that. I know that my bedroom's always going to be kinky. There's always going to be some version of openness, some version of kink, even in my committed relationships.
And that's how I got to the point when I had completely gone over to the lifestyle. I'd always played, always dabbled in kink, but fully in my relationship life, I'm like, okay, I'm not going ever back to monogamous. And I had that moment where I was like, I would rather be single the rest of my life than be partnered monogamous. And I was actually completely 100% fine with that prospect. I was like, I'll just have like my little open relationships or whatever was happening, because, you maybe see a few people for a few months at a time and then move on to the next thing, or what, I'd go through those things, but nothing serious life partner, planning a life together type thing. And I was like, I just don't think it's going to happen, because when I was out in the dating world, it just wasn't working, like trying to bring those lives together. And maybe that's why people are kink tourists, and maybe it's a little bit different now because this is a few years ago, because you kind of, maybe they're also presented with the same choice, because when you go out to date and if you say it all up front, and I must admit the people that I'm thinking about who are kink tourists are generally men.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as a female, I would go to dates, whether it was with men or women, I would tell them within the first 5 minutes of my lifestyle. And then it was either they'd run for the hills, which was fine, or they were like intrigued, but then 3 months later couldn't hack it. And that was my experience. And that's what led me to, okay, well, maybe it's this like dating seriously and this open kink lifestyle is just never going to mix. And I'm okay with that. So I'm wondering if these people who are particularly men, I do think it would be harder if you're a heteronormative straight man to go on dates with females and just blurt that out, because you're probably seen as a bit of a jerk.
Yeah, a bit of a player.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, hey, like I'm been, like some of them have been like, I've been going to these sex parties, or I've been exposed to this like new open lifestyle or this kink world, like it might come across as a bit, player, douche. Like I could imagine that. It probably does come across worse for men. So maybe they do have to keep it on the down low.
Yeah.
Which is sad. I think it's really sad. But as I said, like, I think once you start this lifestyle, it's very hard to go back.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And a lot of people go back maybe initially to start a family and then reintroduce it.
I don't know if that works. I tried that because I met my daughter's dad in a threesome. And I wasn't seeing him. I was seeing the other person at the time.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in monogamy land once we got serious. Like we were kind of not serious for a whole year. And then, a few years later, I'm looking back on this relationship where I was not happy. I wasn't sexually happy. I wasn't happy in any part of it. And I'm like, how the hell did I go from meeting someone in a threesome to a monogamous vanilla relationship? And that's when I was like, I just don't see how you can. I think it's very hard to open it up later, to start at one thing and then to go to open, because sometimes I think people think, well, this is not what I signed up for. And I think you need, of course, maybe if you both change together in the same way, but that doesn't always happen. And so I think to just try and cross your fingers and be like, well, maybe in 6 months, but then in 6 months you're already emotionally committed, like you're emotionally attached to someone. So it's going to make it that much harder to walk away. So that's why I'm like, you need to be completely upfront with it to start with. I don't know. I don't think I've struck the right balance of the state in the first 5 minutes to this. There must be some middle ground between 5 minutes and 6 months.
Yeah, I think I kind of introduced on like date 3, maybe. Yeah. It's my kind of go-to would be date 3. But that's only because I'm like, I want to know whether they're worth telling or worth investing in. But I do agree with you. I think if you've introduced it before you start a family, then you can go back. But so even if you take breaks, but I don't think you could ever, or if you've met someone who is open enough to that. But a lot of people start the wrong way.
Yeah. So speaking of kink, what's your kinky life like at the moment?
Well, I have an event with you this weekend. Going to Kit Kat. I believe you had a guest just recently on your podcast.
Yeah, we've aired that episode. We had the founder of Kit Kat, Phil, so we've got that on this weekend.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. I, on the weekend, went to a picnic with open, like-minded people.
Yeah, you went to the open circle thing.
Yeah, last night we went out for a dinner, my partner and I, with another open couple that we had met at that picnic. We're actually not going to play together. It's not like that. It's just really, really nice to have to be able to find another couple to connect with on the same level, to be able to have open conversations about, you know, what's your relationship like and what are you introducing and what do you want to try. And when you go out to dinner, we made sure we sat outside, funnily enough, because you're like, who's going to overhear this conversation?
Yeah, I never care who overhears my conversations. I mean, remember we went out for that dinner? It was like me, you, and another girlfriend we were with. And I think we were just shocking everyone at the next table with our conversations. But I never pick up on that. But you're right. When it's nice to have the social aspect, because I think sometimes kind of people find out, oh, you're like an open couple or a kinky couple, and they can be a bit scared. Kind of like, it's like I don't jump on everyone I'm at dinner with. You know what I mean? You kind of put into a category, I think, sometimes. But it's like it's nice to have other people who can understand your lifestyle or the challenges to your relationships or the different phases and things. And I think the community aspect of like the open, people who identify as open or people who are identify in the kink scene, I think it can be quite nice just to have that socialization aspect with people from a like-minded perspective.
Yeah, I find my family knows. The people that I associate with regularly know who I am, what I do. I'm not at all embarrassed about that. So I'm very forward with this is what I like to do. So I generally surround myself with like-minded people. But there are situations where you can't, obviously, at work and things like that. But it's for me, friendship on that side of things is really important. Even my partner and I have had what I call a couple of sort of regular girls join us at different times that we had like an ongoing relationship with. We got to know them as a friend first, and then we went out, you know, on dates. And so dating girls as a couple and exploring that area, which I really enjoy because I'm bi.
Yeah, it's similar to me. So
that's always on the cards for me. I would totally be open to being a throuple. I would love a permanent girl in my relationship, as I think you would too, just because I really connect with feminine energy. I love my girl time. I love you connect differently with a woman than you do with a guy. So my partner, when we met, wasn't actually in the kink scene. So I introduced him to the lifestyle. So I know you've spoken about the struggles you had with people that were, you know, vanilla or who wasn't in the kink lifestyle. Introducing somebody new to the lifestyle doesn't always work out because they're not quite open-minded enough, or they think it's a novelty and that it'll wear off, and you know it doesn't.
Or you do what I did and just like overload them with everything the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, which is very exciting, right? And then they're like, okay, this is too much. Yeah. But I remember having conversations with you about how do I introduce this to him, and I don't want to overload him. And so we had already had conversations about kind of some kink preferences before we actually had a date, because we met online. So we were talking for about a week before we met up. So I slightly introduced it then with, you know, comments of, actually, I have a sex swing. Have you ever tried that? You know, so that's the soft way to do it, I think. And he's like, oh, that's funny because I actually bought one a few weeks ago. So he wasn't adverse to that, you know, that sort of thing. So it was quite a smooth transition, but it was just little things that, you know, I kind of introduced through our relationship. And when I started dating him, obviously, I didn't even plan relationship. Like, it wasn't on my plan. As I said, it was just something we sort of got really good at. He is a great communicator as well. So it's a relationship that sort of went through the stages very nicely. And yeah, again, he's someone who said he could never go back now. So, and our relationship really ebbs and flows. So, you know, with what that looks like and what emotions it brings up with, you know, for me, introducing another girl is really easy because I'm so into the girl. So that's sexy, that's hot. I love to watch him with another girl. But relationship-wise at the moment, he's really more about he's wanting to explore more, which is, you know, natural because when I first got into kink, I was wanting to explore everything and I wasn't in a relationship, so I had the freedom to do so. So now it's a conversation about what that looks like. And we're looking at, you know, playing individually. Like for me, we've only played together at this current stage, but he's sort of engaging with women by himself now, and it hasn't really gone much further in conversation at this stage, but it's working out your comfort levels about, okay, well, how open are we on both sides? I know I'm very open to, you know, go and play without me. That's fine. But I kind of also want to meet the person first.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't mind if I meet, like, if my husband was playing with someone separately. I don't know, because we play differently as well. As in, I need to connect with the person prior. Like, I'll meet them outside of a place scenario prior to make sure the connection's there, and then a separate time go and play. While he's someone who's like, he's not gonna like talk to someone online for weeks on end. His attention span is short. He's more like he'll meet someone randomly out or something, that will happen and that will be it. So I'm not really in the position where I'd meet them anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. You want to meet them prior.
Yeah, but I think it's also because I'm not adverse to, you know, if meeting the girl and us being a couple dating them as well. So I think, you know, which might not always work for the girl. Like if they're only interested in my partner, then, you know, that's fair enough. But I think I would like to meet them. But it's only new to me, this being in a relationship and in kink world.
And playing separately.
Yeah. So again, that's why I said it ebbs and flows because I was introducing him to the lifestyle. So it was, you know, first of all, playing together, well, going to kink parties, then playing together. And, you know, so don't think you don't have to have all the answers. Because your relationship changes and it evolves and your mindset changes on a lot of things, and it will bring up different things, which I love examining actually. So when I feel something like, oh, that's jealousy, or why did I feel like that? I actually like that. Like rather than reacting, my reaction is internal. It's like, why did that happen? Is that a trauma response? And through my relationship, that, as I said, it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, that's a new feeling. What does that mean? Why am I feeling that? And it always comes back to I have complete trust in my partner. So even though I might get emotional about things and I might lose my thought process because of emotion, is the nicest way to put it. Getting back to, you know, your true belief in your partner and your trust, and that it's amazing. And it's funny, the first time I experienced being left out in a threesome, I actually went the other way and I went, oh, I like watching.
Oh, yeah, I like watching.
And then I was like, I don't know if that's creepy. You know, it was like, do I
voyeurism.
have to? Yeah.
Kink.
No, I meant because we hadn't discussed like that side of it. So we had discussed, obviously, you know, we're going to play all together. So when I stepped away and realised I've been sitting here too long enjoying this watching, I was like, oh, I really didn't discuss if she was comfortable with me just watching. So we had that, we debriefed after, we sat on the bed and we were all naked after everybody. And, I felt the need to bring that up. I went, oh, sorry that, I kind of stood away, but I actually really enjoyed watching. So that's what I mean. Sometimes you can't always plan everything. You can't always prepare for everything, but you do have to know yourself well enough and be comfortable enough in yourself to be able to analyze those emotions and feelings as they come up.
Yeah, that's true. And as you say, like, of course, before you're going to do anything with your partner, you're going to have a very long conversation or conversations about it and communicate. But you're right, you can't plan everything, because me and my partner have had a few things happen that we haven't planned for in group things or threesomes or whatever. And then we've had to check in with each other afterwards, and some things haven't felt good. But we talk about it and then we get over it. And because we've been open about it and talked about it, it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, yeah, so you can't plan that everything's going to go perfect, but I can plan that we're going to repair afterwards. And then you end up actually feeling probably better than ever, and it brings you closer.
Yeah, and that's got to be the trust between you and your partner, right? Because you can't plan for everything. I initially started out with a rule that we're only fluid bonded. I think you've spoken about that, is me and my partner. So, we're about condoms when we're with other people. But I also made the kind of rule that for extra protection, I only wanted them to orgasm inside of me.
I never had that. I remember you telling me this. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
So I kind of had that rule. And then one day, obviously, people got excited and it happened. And then I saw how excited she was that she had made him come. And then I was like, ooh, I really like that she got gratification from that. So I was happy for her happiness as well, which is where, compersion's not just with your partner. It's also about like other people that are playing with you. So I was like, actually, I'm really, because I really like her, I was really happy to see the big smile on her face that she got him that excited. So that, again, sometimes you make rules and you're like, actually, no, that actually felt really, really good. So I don't have that rule anymore.
Yeah, rules change.
Sometimes by accident.
Yeah. So I'm really interested that you guys are going to start playing separately. I can't wait to hear what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, well, at this stage, it's sort of, as I said, it's only in the early stages. I have met the girl that he's talking to that I've said, and that's because she sort of wanted to explore with us as a couple. But then I saw that she really, really hit it off with my partner, and we have a group chat, but they've also been communicating, and I've given the green flag for that. I'm like, I don't always have to be involved. That's fine. So again, it's really opening up again. So that's what I mean. It's like, it's a practice as well. You get better, you get different, you open up again. So yeah, that's another exciting chapter.
I think how you said, like, it's ebbs and flows. Like, sometimes there's a lot happening in your kink life, and sometimes there's not so much happening in your kink life. And it also depends on what else is happening in life. Like, I feel like me at the moment, my kink life's a little bit on the down low, and I've had to proactively step away from it, even with the person we've been seeing, and say I'm unfortunately not as available at the moment due to life circumstances, due to things with my work, with my health. I've just had to but I do look forward to, like, when it kicks back up again. But I think it is being aware that it's not always going to be 100 miles an hour. That sometimes you're going to have to say that, well, other things sometimes got in the way. And yeah, so I'll be, hopefully by the time we next speak, my kink life would have ramped back up again.
Yeah, and for me too, it's sort of changed as, my hormones have changed. Different times I'm more excited than others. So for me, that again is opening up, okay, well, what does it look like if I don't want to be involved? I've been on my kink journey for a very, very long time, and my partner's only, 3 years in. And he hasn't really experienced it by himself. So whereas I got to do all of that. So for me, opening up those doors or those gates for him to do what he wants to do, because I feel like this journey, we should get to experience everything. And, you know, no one really belongs to anybody. Everybody is here to experience their own journey. And if you've got a partner that you can do that with, is incredible. But I would never stop any experience that they want to go through, because I've definitely had more than my fair share of amazing experiences. And I encourage everybody to do that for themselves, because you have this life, and that's what, you know, my partner, again, it's just reassessing, okay, well, how do I feel about that? And again, it comes back to the complete and utter trust you've got in your partner and the love you have for each other, and knowing that different relationships don't affect your relationship, because you can have many, many relationships and they're all different and they're all at their own pace and at their own level. So, yeah, it's another exciting chapter for me now that you ask.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that is what's happening for me and my partner right now, is I'm opening up to the fact that I'm slowing down, but he's going full throttle. So,
and I have to do the opposite. I need to reel it in a bit, which I have been. Well, thank you for coming on and having some girl chats with me, and I can't wait to hear about the update.
oh, you'll know about it.
Thanks for joining us, and as always, stay kinky.